9 speakers. I told him, please be aware your meeting will probably go over time. Like, just look at the optics of it. Plan for the external numbers. So the advice is that when planning your meeting, you plan in a way that you make room for transitions. You plan that your meeting takes about 1 hour, 30 minutes max, so that with the flexibility of other things that might come in and distractions, you can still end maybe at 1 hour, 50 minutes or 1 hour, 45 minutes. It's great for people to know that their time is respected when it comes to a Toastmasters meeting. And that is one aspect of excellence that some people fail to do. And one person who is responsible for driving this is how the VP puts together a team that is going to engage in the meeting. Please recall, there are 3 E's that a lot of people use to judge Toastmasters meetings. And they say it has to be educative, it has to be entertaining, and it has to be engaging. So while planning your Toastmasters meeting, as a VPE or as a member who is looking at the agenda, ask them, by evaluating each segment, how can we ensure that people don't sit in and tune out? I remember talking to one of the members of my club, and the person was saying, oh, we have a virtual meeting. It's going to be boring. I told him, it depends on how the meeting is structured. If you put the background and you do all the work in the background on planning how to ensure that people are entertained in the meeting, I have attended virtual meetings that felt like a breeze. 2 hours went like this, and you wouldn't know it because it was so entertaining and engaging. So you, as a planner for a meeting, if you're a VPE or if you're someone who is in charge of structuring your meetings, you have to plan for the entertainment of members. Entertainment can take so many forms. Some clubs have a joke master, but while doing that, pay attention to the strict guidelines you have enshrined in your timing structure. Now, this 30 minutes that I had shared earlier is not a hard and fast rule. Flexibility in this, and as I said, the Table Talks session is a session where you can make up for lost time or just shut in and use to go and make your meeting go faster. So please ensure that you do that when planning your next meeting. And as a rule of thumb, I tell people Toastmasters is just an example of something you do outside the individual world. And when you are done with your meeting, if you ever have to plan another meeting that's not a Toastmasters meeting, remember, if you plan a meeting that's 2 hours to have activities back to back for 2 hours, you will most likely go over time. If you plan a meeting and you then start the meeting on time, but fail to abide by the timing rules, you would most likely also go out of time. So at this point, I would immediately segue into talking about the person who helps make these sessions either go on time or not go on time, the person who is going to most likely be the person who speaks the most in any Toastmasters meeting. I shared this in about 12 minutes. And as we said, we are also trying to keep the time on this call. So if you have anything you want to ask, anything you want to engage with, you can drop in the chat. We're happy to share with you. So at this point, I will start talking about the role of the Toastmaster of the day. Thank you so much, Toastmaster John. I see your chart. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. The Toastmaster of the day, as we know, is arguably the most important role for any Toastmasters meeting. And for me as a person, I say that role is a forerunner for any other thing you have to do with respect to managing crowds and managing an audience's attention. It is a role that requires you to have a combination of the skills needed to give prepared speeches and table topics, because you're supposed to see feedback from the audience and incorporate it in the material you use during the meeting. I have been to meetings and had amazing Toastmasters of the day. I have heard people and say, wow, I want to be like this person when I'm done. I want to be like this person in a year's time. And if you do your job right as Toastmaster of the day, the meeting would not just have been educative, it would also have been entertaining and very engaging. You are what is called the fragrance of the meeting to me. If you do your job right, you would be just present enough to steer the meeting forward and available enough to make sure that if things are going off track, you bring them on track. At this point, I would like anyone in the chat, because I love my screen. I'm seeing a lot of names and just names. So if you are still here with us, you get to send a thumbs up emoji or your favorite emoji. And even if your favorite emoji is the puke emoji, that works, you could have it. Okay, I can see you, Toastmaster John. Thank you for sharing your emoji. The Toastmaster of the day for any Toastmasters meeting is supposed to start, thank you, Toastmaster Zara Fatima Abbas. The Toastmaster for the day is supposed to start his job. Thank you, Khadija. Before the meeting starts, I dare say, I've seen some people call me and say, hey, Toastmaster Reuben, we have a meeting this evening. I don't know if you can be the Toastmaster of the day. I'm asking myself, how? Just take it down a notch. What happens the last Toastmaster of the day? When sure we could fill the role up, my goodness, that's the most important role in your meeting. How come it hasn't been filled up? So if you're a VP or a planner, please recall this role is too vital to just be left to chance. And as I said, the Toastmaster of the day guides and generally determines the tempo of the meeting. The Toastmaster of the day who is laid back means your meeting will most likely be laid back. The Toastmaster of the day who is very engaging and energetic and helps people engage, you're pretty sure to a large extent your meeting will probably go well. And the job of the Toastmaster of the day starts way before the meeting starts. And the first thing that happens is, as a Toastmaster of the day, you would ask yourself, what is the structure of that club's meeting? I have been to a meeting where the Toastmaster of the day switched the structure and said, okay, we're having a table topic session first. And club members were surprised. Like, we don't do table topic session first. Who is this one? How? And eventually, after some inconvenient conversations, they had to change the structure of the meeting. I'm sure you don't want that. I'm very sure you don't want that. The first rule is first ask, what is the structure of your meeting? If you've never been there or if you're not used to the club, what's the structure of your meeting like? And for me, I know that sometimes the agenda of that meeting might not be ready because of role players are dropping out, role players are giving all sorts of excuses. So you might want to ask first, do you have an old agenda of your meetings, of your regular meetings that kind of reflects what's going to happen in this meeting today? If you have that, you can then see fairly how the structure of the meeting is. And then you ask other questions. The VP is most likely going to be your strongest guide or the president. So you engage the president and ask, what am I supposed to do? How do your meetings run? Do you want to start a meeting? It will be best to know how the meeting is run as opposed to taking ideas from your head and coming to upload on them. So the first is to ask, what's the structure of the meeting like regularly? The next thing you have to ask is the simplest thing, what's the meeting theme? What do we hope to achieve by this? If the meeting theme, let's say for this beginning of the year, is begin strong. Now, while you might feel you understand what it means to be begin strong, it would be good to also ask the VP, when you crafted this theme, what did you have at heart? What did you feel like this was what you wanted to share with your audience at this time? By having that material, it's easy for you to then go back, do your homework, and build on that. If you're not aware, you might take the meeting off a tee, and the intent of the organizers of the meeting might be frustrated. I must say at this point that in some clients, the Toastmaster of the day is the person who puts together the role players for that meeting. He engages and ensures that they are on time. He searches for scouts for them and puts them together. But for most of our meetings, this part of the world, we sometimes don't. Yeah. Now, what works is this. The Toastmaster of the day then looks at the agenda for our meetings, for a lot of us, and says, okay, these are the spaces where I have material I intend to share based off of the understanding of the idea of the meeting. For most times, a meeting is put together to carry out a particular intent. So by the time you have seen what the intent is, then you go back and brainstorm on material. Oh, I would crack a joke at this point. Oh, I would talk about this at this point. And by the time you have that down, then it's a good thing to please then start preparing to attend the meeting. For meetings, as we know, virtual meeting etiquette is a virtual meeting should be observed. As a Toastmaster of the day, you are most likely the face that you've seen most of the time. So ensure your lighting is good, your background is good, your audio is clear, you have background backup devices for your village people when they want to affect your internet connection. You have all of those things in place first so you don't get thrown off balance, because sometimes it's very frustrating when you're in a meeting, middle of a meeting, and you're about to share something vital and you're thrown off and you can't pick up. Another thing which is not done in a lot of meetings is while you're playing that role, especially if it's a virtual meeting, I personally advise that you maybe speak to either the VP or anyone who had put together the meeting and tell the person, okay, in the event I'm thrown off, who manages the stage, the virtual stage, so it's never left empty. For most clubs, it's mostly the VP that just steps in, but sometimes it's not the case. And I've seen a meeting where the Toastmaster was thrown out and everybody was just waiting and Everybody's, oh, is he back yet? Is he not back? I'm sorry, that's not the intent of a great meeting. A great meeting is a meeting that happens so seamlessly that even when mistakes happen, people don't get to notice because it happens and it's covered up as quickly as possible. So that being said, I would go into other things that I think the Toastmaster of the day should begin doing. As you have done all of the groundwork before now, it's now advised that you join the meeting early, first of all. And why is that important? It's important because as Toastmaster of the day, you want to be aware of the person in the room. So you check, oh, are people excited? Oh, how was work today? Oh, work was a drag, it was terrible. Those things also help inform the material you would share during the course of the meeting. You want to know that you understand where people are at before you try to engage them. So if they're at a low, you want to gradually raise them up. If they're at a high, you want to be able to moderate the tempo of the meeting so the meeting is great. Now, while engaging at the beginning of the meeting, ensure you do your audio checks and all the things you need to do to ensure you are in the meeting at the right place. It's also a good time to check if your role players are on the meeting. Because as I said, your Toastmaster every day, you have the floor. You want to check if your grammarian, your eye counter, all the role players are on the call. And if they're not, you want to nudge the other person. As I said, most times it's not the Toastmaster who meetings in this part of the world. You want to nudge the person to say, please can you check on the time? We don't have time on the call. Do you care to check? Because those things could affect the quality of your meeting. And if it does, as you can tell, you'll probably not have as space of time as you want to. By the time you have done all of this groundwork, by the time the meeting starts, please, you are advised. You are most likely the most visible face on the call. It's advisable that your video is turned on for most of the meeting. If it's a virtual meeting, if it's a physical meeting, you want to be seen to be paying attention. You want to be the person who hears, who soaks in everything that is said, understanding and forgetting material to discuss about during the meeting. As the meeting starts, for a lot of clubs, you'll be the third person to come on stage, and that will be after the SAE has called the meeting to order. And after that, the president has given their introductory remarks. You then want to inform them about the three major segments of the Toastmasters meeting. I have seen some Toastmasters do this job so well that they share about the Toastmasters journey and make this so engaging that people want to join Toastmasters just by hearing about the fabulous things they talk about Toastmasters. So while you share, you are also advised, if you can, to try to uplift the Toastmasters brand, help people to get to understand the impact that Toastmasters has had on you, on other people, if it's possible. But you also want to be careful. One of the terrible don'ts for Toastmasters of the days is that you don't fall in love with your voice. You are supposed to be as smooth and slick as oil. You want to lubricate between different segments of the meeting. If you are like grease or like something that isn't as fluid, people would pay attention to you and not be able to take in the smoothness of the meeting. A good Toastmasters meeting is like a cohesive whole. You get the transitions between segments so smooth that it feels like it was the same person who had been on stage all along. So you want to ensure that you don't become the block and have a section to yourself and don't fall in love with your voice. But in the course of the meeting, you would introduce the three segments of the Toastmasters meeting. If they have all of that, if it's the table topics, if it's the prepared speeches and the evaluation, you want to talk about that. If the meeting does not have these sections, please, you should have familiarized yourself with what they have. If it's a speaker-thon, you want to give that differently. And while that is ongoing, as you explain these three segments of the meeting, then for me, when I play this role, it's pretty simple because if I'll tell you, oh, we have three segments, it's the prepared speech. And before I go further, I want to pick something which a lot of us have heard and is very important to this role. As a Toastmaster, any role, and we don't care what role, I don't care which role you're playing. Every time you come on stage, it's a speech. Every time. Every time. You want to have some form of opening, some form of body, some form of conclusion. Every time. It's Toastmaster of the day role is with no exception. It's always a speech. Always a speech. So you come in and you're giving your introductory remarks, it's a speech. Don't be fooled. It sounds like it's just introductory remarks, but if you can infuse that structure and infuse the elements of a great speech in there, you are killing it. So while you go through this phase, for me, I will tell you, oh, we have these three segments. and then start telling you that the evaluation segment is among the most important segments. For a lot of clubs, it comes at the end of their meeting. It's among the most important segments of the meeting. And then I would then request for the person who introduces their theme. For a lot of clubs, it's the general evaluator who introduces their theme, which is the tag team. Some people have a joke master, some people have a listening evaluator added to the tag team. There's a timer, accountant, grammarian. I would then hand over the lecture to the general evaluator. After that, the person proceeds to invite the team, hands over back to us, and then we begin the job of, for some clubs, the prepared speech section. In the prepared speech section, I would state something which a friend had shared with me, and I think is vital. When it's your role to bring somebody else to the lectern, I think introducing the person right cannot be overstated. Two things. I was on a call with someone today and we shared about this. The two things are, you want to make the person feel so good about themselves coming up on stage that they'll be ready to give their best. The second is, you want to prime the audience's attention so that they would say, oh my goodness, if this person of this caliber is coming to speak to us, I'm very sure I want to sit down and listen. If you can do those two things effectively, and you call up people, you definitely are doing a great job. And while doing this, please always keep in touch with the energy level of the room and how you are making that energy level. Are you coming and speaking with one monotonous voice and giving a bit of something they have heard in 40 different meetings? I'm sorry, you might lose your audience. You want to be as engaging and interesting as you can be. You want to get members sitting on the edge of their seats, waiting for the next thing that will happen. As Toastmaster of the day, you are free to improvise. There are things you want to do to make sure you spice up the meeting. That's your job. You're doing it right. Keep doing that. As you transit from segment to segment, we call for a lot of clubs. While you introduce the speaker, you're then supposed to call on the evaluator. Some clubs tell you you can read out the evaluator's bio. Some tell you no, you just need to call the evaluator to stand up and share the speaker's speech objective. Please don't forget to do that. And after that, then you raise the expectation of the room for the first speaker. By the time you do this, and if you do this right, the speaker comes, gives a dashing performance. You come back, but as you come back, you're advised to kindly give maybe a brief recap, some material you've gotten from the speaker. Why? Because it helps with the transition process. And also, it shows the speaker that you are listening to the speaker. Please recall, as I said before, you want to be paying rapt attention to everybody who is on stage. You are most likely the face everyone looks at when they have to share. So please pay attention. So it's not like you're distracted, you're pressing your phone, the person is thinking, why am I even sharing this with this audience? After that, after you transit through those sections, then you go to the introduction of general players. For some clubs, immediately after this, we call, after the speech session, don't forget to ask for votes. And they say feedback is a great class of champions. A lot of clubs share love notes, things that would help the speaker improve before the evaluation. So please remember to ask for that. If there are love notes, if there are things you like about the speaker's performance, please share with the speaker, help make the speaker better, help if the speaker was doing things right, give them their kudos, let them learn and improve. After this segment, for some clubs, they then request for votes. Please don't forget, if they would request for votes, if it's a poll, if it's an online audience, please ask for that. And after they do this, then you transition into the next segment of the meeting. Some have networking breaks, some have games, some have game masters. Please, as I said, be familiar with your agenda. You can't manage the agenda properly if you don't understand the agenda in the first place. Ask questions if need be. As you transition through this phase, be conscious of the timing because you're responsible for whether the meeting goes on time or off time. I see people who, after the meeting is late and they're struggling with time, they had already prepared material and the person is like, no, this material I've prepared, I have to deliver it. I have to crack those jokes for an extra 10 minutes. And by doing that, the meeting is going off. You've missed the point. One of the points is that you help the meeting start and end on time. So please recall that you are supposed to adjust. Do not be rigid, be like oil. Move as you need to move to make the meeting go smoothly. After this person most likely invites whoever is the chosen topics master, if it's the rest which is first, or if it's the other way around, invite the next person. As we said, you want to raise anticipation for that person. You want to get people ready to engage with that person. You want to be the oil, be the lubricant between sections. After that, we call sometimes people ask, or most clubs rather, they ask for votes for the table topic session. Do not forget to ask for votes. Do not forget to ask for love notes. They have to share, oh, I loved how you spoke. These small gestures are sometimes the reason some people keep coming back to Toastmasters, because the ability they have to get decent and objective feedback is hard to get from people who know their stuff. So please don't forget, that's a very important part of a lot of Toastmasters meetings. So please request for them. And after that, they might ask for votes. So remember to queue, ask for votes. Then we go into inviting the general evaluator to handle their segment, which most likely starts with table topics evaluation, and then we prepare speeches. As I said before, these things are sometimes meeting specific. You don't want to carry the juju you people have in your meeting. I'm going to mix with the jazz they have in theirs. Be cautious. If they have a different structured meeting, please adhere to the meeting guidelines. Nothing like, oh, I no go agree. They have to do things my way, or I don't agree with this. They have to do things my way. So while you do that, you're supposed to also be getting feelers from the audience. Check, are they tired? Are they sloppy? If you see that the meeting is going off track, you can always bring it back on track with jokes, with activities that haven't even been on the plan before, just to ensure that things go on track. At the end of the meeting, there are some things to do. Like after you have finished handling all of this and you've shared feedback and you've handed the lesson back to the president or whomever has to manage the meeting, please recall your job doesn't end there. At the end of this meeting, you are kindly supposed to also engage your role players. You're supposed to kindly thank them. The importance of this is Toastmasters, as we know, is a non-profit. Nobody was paid to be your timer, accountant, grammarian. And while you are doing this, it's advised, thank you, DTM. While you're doing this, it's advised that in that time frame, most likely immediately after the meeting, you share your thanks. You thank them profusely because they didn't have to be there, they didn't have to do this, but they came and sacrificed their time to help you with the meeting. They came and sacrificed their time. And what it does is it helps build equity with them. It helps them feel like they're valued. I remember I once had a meeting. I was called on an emergency that please they needed us to have this. And if I could, I should please come have the meeting. I was stuck somewhere. I was literally on the water and on a job function. And I had to find a way to engage. They called me non-stop before the meeting. And by the time the meeting happened, it was radio silence. Nobody did anything anymore. It seemed like I just came and performed and went. So all the care and love went off. So I suggest, please recall that you need to thank and engage the audience. As DTM has shared, she's talking also about having trainings during meetings. A number of clubs have trainings during meetings, which, as she shared, is the fourth section. But this session, most times, is not included in every Toastmasters meeting. Some clubs have to take out one of these sections to infuse the training session. Some of these clubs have to actually have either just a speaker turn, or some clubs I've attended have just table topic sessions to spice things up. As you know, the contest is coming up next month in February. So please get ready for that. At this point, I would like to round up and ask for questions. Thank you so much for being an amazing audience. I have gone 4 minutes past time, and that is unnatural for this meeting. I sincerely apologize. At this point, I'd like to open the floor for any comments, statements, and if not, we would kindly shut the meeting down. Thank you so much. We have 21 participants on the call, and I would give just a few minutes or just a few seconds for people to drop their chats, inquire, and if while you're doing this, I see that it's taking too long, you could also always engage through other channels. Let's see. Okay. So who would you recommend as the backup if the Toastmaster of the day has network issues? Thank you. For my club, I'm the VP for my club. So I mostly schedule a backup TMOD. And for two reasons, not just for the virtual meeting if you have network issues, but also for in the event the Toastmaster of the day, who is male, decides and says, I'm sorry, I feel pregnant that day, I can't help it, I'm not going to be able to show up, what happens is the meeting is going to be very, very disrupted. So we always played, please have a backup. An easy person to stand in the role of backup is the vice president education. But the hassle is this. For most vice president educations, they are running behind the scene to ensure that the meeting goes smoothly. You're trying to make sure the timer knows what he's doing, the accountant is sleeping up. You want to ensure, if you can, it's advised that you dedicate to somebody who will not be acting in that capacity. If not, some things might fall through the cracks. So for me, personal advice, have someone designated as a backup, always. And in the event that this person isn't, also recall you have executives who are very vast with Toastmaster roles. They could always play these roles. But you want to nudge the person so the person is aware and does some form of mental preparation about for this. Thank you so much. That was an amazing question. Do we have any other questions? Thank you so much, Toastmaster Chika. Thank you. As a TMOD responsible for ensuring they have a backup, for a lot of clubs, no, they are not. It's advisable. The TMOD asks, is there a backup? But no, they're not responsible. Their role is to manage the meeting as it is. But generally, no, it's not advisable that you have a backup for yourself. The club, you ask the VPE or any or the people who are physically meeting. Thank you for that question also. Much appreciated. Thank you, Toastmaster John. Thank you, all of you who have stayed on the call for this long. It's the first Friday rather, of the year, and you joined in to ensure you get your meetings better. We can't thank you enough. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you for your service. At this point, I'd like to call the meeting to a close. Do have a pleasant Friday evening. And if you're calling us from out of the country, a different time zone, do have a pleasant day. I wish you all a good day. Thank you. And it's bye for now.
Thank you very much,
so
Toastmaster
much,
Reuben.
our facilitator. Thank you, TM John. Good evening, everyone.
Thank you, DTM. So good evening, everyone.
Good night.
Good evening, DTM. Good evening, everyone.
Good night. Good night.